This is the classic from Winnie the Pooh about rabbit. So there's this line from this book which strikes me quite a fair bit. It says, unlike Pooh, rabbit never lets things come to him. He goes and fetches them. When I read this to my daughter, I realize, oh my goodness, I'm very much like rabbit. Dear friends, welcome to Fully Alive with Irene. So yeah, naturally, I was quite a go-getter. I go get things, I make things happen, I wait for things to come to me, and I'm there, I charge forward and get things. And to the point when I left my old job to be in full-time mission, Providence becomes my biggest stretch. As a go-getter, it's not that easy. As a person who makes things happen, who doesn't wait for things to happen to me, it's not that easy to be dependent upon God. And God taught me the greatest lesson when it comes to providence since then. And at the point when I was leaving the mission in New Zealand, I still felt like I haven't truly grasped that lesson about how God is my provider. I say that, but that journey that comes to my heart really took a long time, took a lot of breaking and making for that to happen. Although, if I may say so, my life has a lot of testimony. It's a testimony of God's providence upon me. I left my job and I bought a home, and I still have my home today. So that's one big one that God has for me. And being living in the mission full-time, depending on God without any pay, I did not starve for a day. I have roof overhead. There are lots and lots of story of providence. And God continued to teach me when in 2020, when I was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis. The first thing that got to me was that my world was shaken. And I asked the question, oh gosh, how are we going to do this financially? Because it's expensive. Having a chronic illness is expensive. And I was having this mind and thought, and I talked to my husband. I say, okay, I'm going to go and ask for help. So I started a funding page and just randomly tell people my story that I was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, and it is really throwing our small family into a sort of imbalance because my husband will have to take care of me. And so the challenge goes on that I shared. I was awestruck by the generosity of God through these people who bless us. Wow, the amount that came in really brought us through that initial difficult time. So there I was rabbit, I asked for it. And this year I've shared about having a myasthenic crisis. I stayed in the hospital for 19 days in a private hospital here. Yeah, thank God for insurance. I was able to do that, and seeing neurologists, so yeah, that's necessary in that sense. So 19 days in the hospital, 9 days in the ICU. No, actually 10 days in the ICU. So in need of ventilation, in need of nursing care and all those things. And as we may be aware, ICU care is quite expensive. Just to give you a context, just my rescue medication costs about 50,000 ringgit Malaysia. It's that much. And at the end of my stay of 19 days, the bill comes back that my insurance has maxed up. So there was an excess of about 25,000 ringgit that we need to pay on our own. So what was important at that time was I need to come home. I just want to come home, and I'll start the recovery process. Yes, we know that there are debts that needs to be paid off. And to my bewilderment, actually, to my jaw drop moment, I would say that within 24 hours, that 25,000 excess was covered just from family itself. And that moment, I realized, wow, I don't need to be like rabbit. I didn't even ask, People just came forward and helped us. That was the time that I was like, wow, God, this is you, my Father, my provider, who knows what I need exactly at the time that I need it. I was so touched, and I learned in a big way, wow, God provide not only on the way that if I ask that He give, yes, it's great, ask and it shall be given. There are also times when He knows my need, He knows I was too weak, and He just provide. That testament of God's providence upon my life just show me how much He loves me, how much it's like, wow, it just left me speechless. And the appropriate response at that time that I can give to God is like, thank you, Lord. Thank you. Dear friends, I'd like to invite you to also reflect on the time that you have these wow moments. And perhaps you can name like 3 instances where God has provided for you concretely in your life.